Kalada. And yes, I would like us to push the conversation forward. And this time, I want us to go to the educational sector. So I did see a couple of headlines today having the same narrative, talking about ASUU rejecting the federal government students loan scheme, saying that it is inimical to the growth of tertiary education in the country. So I took my time this morning to study the law that is backing this loan, the act that is backing this loan scheme, and I want to run it by you. Of course, I would not be able to read all of it. I think there are about 21 sections. I would not be able to read all of it. However, I would be able to read the key parts, especially as it relates to what is the qualification, the prerequisite for you to be able, to apply for the loan, and then the loan conditions. Because for every loan that is taken, there are conditions. For instance, as a businessman, if you want to take a loan from a bank, you are going to be dropping the collateral. There are usually conditions, and interests on it, and all of that stuff. The National Executive Council of the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASUU, has restated its rejection of the federal government students loan scheme. This is just as NEC ASUU has insisted on stripping. Okay, that doesn't really concern us, so we're moving on. Now, the national president of ASUU, Professor Emmanuel Osodeke, who stated this at Michael Okpara University of Agriculture, Umudike, while briefing newsmen on the outcome of the union's recent NEC meeting. In giving reason for ASUU's rejection of the student loan scheme, Professor Osodeke said the scheme was being promoted by the IMF and World Bank, warning that it is a way of starving public universities of funding and a ploy to divert public funds into private universities owned by politically exposed individuals and their friends. He called on government to urgently review all international money lending agencies, including IMF and World Bank sponsored economic policies, which he alleged are increasingly degrading the quality of life of Nigerians. Also, I saw another report or set of reports with the same narrative, where the federal government told ASUU and its likes that whether they like it or not, that the student loan scheme has come to stay, and it will be used to assist in the development of the educational sector, especially the tertiary education. Now, in another report that I did see, ASUU was arguing that this is a ploy by government not to fund universities and to trap students in a never-ending debt repayment. They made references to other parts of the world who had tried it and it didn't work, and indeed we had also tried it, I think, in 2004, and it also did not work, for the country. So what's your take? Would you like your child in a, tertiary institution, tertiary educational institution? Would you like your sibling? Would you like your friend? Are you a student? This conversation is for you, and I really would love to hear what you have to say concerning this very, very situation. So I'm going to bring out the what do you call it now, the act, and I want to read it to you, so just give me a minute there. Okay, so it is called the Students Loans Access to Higher Education Act 2023. Yes, that's what it is called. Like I said, it has about 23 sections. I'm going to go straight to section 14. It says students applying for loan under this act must apply as provided under section 17 of this act on satisfaction of the following conditions. 1. Or A, applicant must have secured admission into any of the Nigerian universities, polytechnics, colleges of education, or any vocational school established by the federal government or the government of any state of the federation. B, applicant's income or family income must be less than 500,000 naira per annum. That means that you're not earning up to 500,000 naira if you calculate your salary for a year. So let's say you'll be earning somewhere around the region of minimum wage 30,000, maybe 40,000 at most. Yeah, maybe somewhere around 40 plus thousand. That's what you should be earning a month for you to be able to access the loan. If you earn more than 500,000 naira a year, then you're not entitled to a student loan. Now, reading on, applicant must provide at least 2 guarantors, and each of the guarantors shall be I, civil servants at least level 12 in the service, II, lawyer with at least 10 years post-call experience, III, judicial officer, or IV, justice of peace. Now, a student is this section 15 now. A student is disqualified from accessing the loan if A, he is proven to have defaulted in respect of any previous loan granted by any organization. B, he has been found guilty of exam malpractice by any school authority. C, is convicted of a felony or any offense involving dishonesty or fraud. And he has been convicted of drug offenses. That's D. E, any of the parents has defaulted in respect of student's loan or any loan granted to the person. Now let's read section 16 and 1. All applications must be submitted through the applicant's bank to the chairman of the committee established under this act, accompanied by a cover letter signed by the vice chancellor or rector or the head of the institution and the student affairs officer of the institution. Now, the second part of that section 16 says each application shall be accompanied by, and I think they're listed, what you should have, the copy of the student's admission letter, a letter by the guarantors addressed to the chairman of the committee established under this act, recommending the student for the loan and stating that he accepts liability in the event of default, 2 passport photographs, and blah blah blah. So let's keep that and let's go to 17. Section 17 says processing of any applicant's application and disbursement shall be made within 30 days of the application reaching the chairman of the committee, subject to section 18 subsection 4 of this act. What does section 18 say? Section 18 says 1. Any beneficiary of the loan to which this act refers shall commence repayment 2 years after completion of the National Youth Service Corps program. No, you heard it. 2 years after the NYSC program. Now, number 2, repayment shall be by direct deduction of 10% of the beneficiary's salary at source by the employer and credited to the fund. 3. Any change of job shall be communicated to the chairman of the committee within 30 days of resuming with new employer with details of the new job. Where the beneficiary is self-employed, he shall remit 10% of his total profit monthly to the fund. I think those are the parts of the act that concerns us. There is a part that even says that disbursement shall be on availability of funds. You can find that section 16 subsection 4, availability of funds. So when you look at this act, do you think it is in the common interest of the people? Because for many years now, for about a decade or more, we've had a battle between ASUU and the federal government as it pertains to how the tertiary, or in this case the universities, should be run. We've seen how they have argued and They have argued about autonomy. They've argued about the system of paying lecturers. They've argued about the current pay of lecturers at the universities, and all of these arguments are ongoing. However, over the years as well, we've some of you have taken sides. Some of you are on the side of the government, but this is very critical because remember, last week, was it 2 weeks, we talked about the current cost of education at the Rivers University. Some people quoted that the entire fees they have to pay, for department nursing is about 400,000 naira. Almost 500,000 naira, and somewhere around the region of almost 200,000 naira, if not more than 200,000 naira. And we talked about that day. And some of you called in, some of you who are fathers, sent me, WhatsApp messages with pictures, with pictorial evidence as to the highest of education at the River State University. So I'm wondering, some students are saying they will not be able to afford paying the. If you have to take a loan, how much is the government able to give out reciprocally for poorest of the poor? So if you're not having an annuity of 500,000 and above, then you can apply for it. If you're not having, right, you can apply for it. So maybe the huge amount of people who will, apply for. But let's say, especially for instance, when we check the poverty rate today, about 60%, if more, of people living in the state are living in poverty, multidimensional poverty. I write statistics. I know it's a big will the government be able to have money to disperse? And the second problem is, apart from the population of students who will be applying for this loan, what is going to be the ability to pay back? When we come back from the culture, we'll talk about this and many more stations. I appreciate you on the other side of the radio and your get up for your contributions already. I am Kalada Kurubatu, and this is Hard Fact. And we're looking at the topic, it looks like, seemingly it looks like there may be some battle between ASUU and the federal government in the nearest future, now that ASUU is vehemently and vociferously kicking against the student loan scheme. They said it's inimical to the tertiary education system. And I suppose that the other unions, for the Union for Polytechnics, that's ASUU, and other ones will also maybe underline that word, want to kick against this as well. And that's why we're talking about. And we've looked at the act, at least the part of the act that concerns you and I. We're part of the populace. We are the ones who basically supposed to, or are supposed to benefit from this students loan scheme. So I was saying before the break that, some of the conditions, I was talking about some of the conditions. One of it is that you would repay, if you are the one who has taken a loan, you will begin repayment immediately 2 years after your NYSC. Now, this is Nigeria, and I'm not praying for you not to have a job, but I mean, we know the current statistics and the data, and we know what unemployment is like, especially if we come to River State. You know what the ratings and the rankings does say about unemployment in River State. Oh, I hope we can bring down those figures, by the way. And then you want to look at it from the angle of really, can someone who comes from a family that does not earn 500,000 annually be able to pay? Because now look at the tuition fees or the school fees right now. We were talking 400,000, we're talking 300,000, depending on the department that you belong to. When you now accumulate all those figures from maybe year 2, year 3, maybe you've collected the loan for 3 years, you're talking 1.2 million. You're talking some in some cases 800, 900,000. Will such a person from such a background be able to pay this monies in a good amount of time? So what do you make of this act, so to say, this scheme? What do you make of it? I'd like to hear from you. And then also the conditions: you must have 2 guarantors, either a lawyer that has served up to 10 years, either a civil servant with at least level 12 experience or position. You should also have a judicial officer or a justice of peace. Are these people easily accessible? I mean, when you talk about, they're easily accessible for people living below 500,000 per annum salary. I mean, these are some of the questions in my head. But basically, do you think this will help? Remember last year we talked about it, and we talked about it strongly and passionately, when students were chased out of the classrooms at River State University, and they were chased out because they were yet to pay their fees, and some of them were crying and saying that they did not have the money, I beg your pardon, and they were not going to be able to raise the money anytime soon. Also, looking at the current economic situation, a lot of people will not be able to afford education. We saw a report the other day where students are, it says students are suffering. I think on Morning Crossfire a couple of days as well, we saw the students come into the studio and begged the River State government that the River State government should pay bursary so that they can be able to survive. So it's also not easy for the students. The students are also not having it easy. It means that the education of our younger ones are now being threatened with the increment of fees and also the cost of living for the student who is in school. So these are some of the factors I'm looking at, and I really want to hear from you. Some of your parents, some of your students, how do you think this should play out? Do you think this student loan is something? And by the way, there's also the possibility for abuse. Now, I'm looking at the act, and the act is saying that the monies will be sent to the bank accounts of the students. So you would apply through your bank with a letter heading signed by the vice chancellor of the school. So think about it. It will be paid to the banks of the students. Is that not giving them the leverage to misappropriate? I mean, how are we even going to verify some of the what's it called now? Verify some of the details that these people will be filling in. Okay, it's not 500,000 per annum that is the limit. They go find someone and claim that person is their guardian or their parent. And a lot of people who are not even supposed to be taking the loans, especially those in political offices, especially those in maybe the civil service, who have some connections, and the people who really need it will not be able to access it. Remember, they said based on availability of funds. I could go on and on. There's so many talking points to this. 27 minutes to the top of the hour, so I have to step on the brakes right now and allow you to talk what is on your mind. 0817-923-0002, 0817-923-0003, 0817-923-0007. We're looking at tertiary education this wonderful afternoon, and I'd like to get your thoughts. I've got Dede who's calling from Duke.
No problem, no problem.
Dede, welcome. Welcome on the show.
Yes, my brother, I agree to you.
All right then.
Considering I call it bottleneck behind the loan that's to be given to students. It's like you carrying some bunch of $0 for fried rice at the center of thick forest. And you're asking somebody to go and try and get it anyhow. That is just the problem, because they are playing the devil's advocate here.
Who is playing the devil's advocate? Who's playing the devil's advocate?
The federal government.
Okay.
Because somebody that you know, I don't know where we are heading to in this country. These people are just practicing pure wickedness. You said it's low, and you're giving to students that you don't know their level and the condition of their parents, and you're giving them bring judiciary, they bring this person, they bring the other person. What kind of nonsense? So you're sending their children outside the country.
So you're saying they
our own money, and they are not reducing the cost of governance from their own side. Meanwhile, the common man is fighting everywhere to make sure that we suffer and beg.
Let me understand you. Are you saying that the requirements are too stringent, that you think they should be reduced? Is that what you're saying?
I think that is what I'm saying.
All right then. All right, thank you.
They should even remove them, because adding anything like that means that we don't want to give them. In fact, there is no money anywhere for that.
But how?
They don't have money. They just bring something like that.
Okay, Dede.
If not, how can you bring something like that and give such conditions? How will the parents meet up that?
But Dede, you know, in Nigeria,
and according to what ASUU said, ASUU said that from their own analysis that this thing will make students and their parents to be in indebtedness all the rest of their life.
Okay.
And you can imagine that.
Right.
So some persons have sat down to analyze this low matter.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, Dede. I've got to let you go. Okay. But Dede, as in my opinion, failed to put into cognizance the fact that in Nigeria it's very difficult. It's very difficult to trace someone who has borrowed money from you, especially if you do not know the person. So that's why you see loan apps, even though it's very wrong and against the law, threatening these people who have taken loans from them by sending messages to their friends and their contacts. Anonymous caller from Port Harcourt, welcome. What is on your mind, please?
Hello, good evening.
Yeah, greetings to you.
I'm going to
please turn off your radio. Turn off your radio, please.
This talk, based from the standpoint of ASUU's opposition to it.
Okay.
Not really. Not for me. I'm not even concerned about the intricacies of who is qualified to borrow and who is qualified and how it could be repaid. Now, the point ASUU is making is that this is a covert policy of the IMF to ensure that the poor do not get access to education.
Okay.
And I want to tell you that ASUU is absolutely on point. Nakalada. And this is not the first time this will be happening. Oftentimes, when things go wrong in the nation, people will be asking, what is it? What is it that intellectuals are doing? What is it that academics are doing? What is it that research fellows are doing? And it's not as if research fellows are keeping their hands akimbo while the nation, goes spiral south. It was this same body, ASUU, and indeed other research veterans that I can begin to mention now, who kicked against the structural adjustment program, which was covertly used, by these same international bodies to ensure that proper funding attention is not given to the university system.
Anonymous, why do you feel, can you hear me? Why do you feel that the international bodies do not want our universities or our tertiary educational centers to be properly funded? What would they gain?
Of course, who benefits from education tourism?
Oh, okay.
Who benefits from capital flight arising from foreign studentship?
Oh, okay.
It is the West, of course. And Canada, we don't need to do further research on this. Try and find out the works written by the likes of Flodake, Bodoni Mode, Escotoyo, even Pat Otomi, who he invited, who was in your studio sometime last year. Ago.
Yeah,
these are political economists who keep warning our leaders about this unholy romance with the international bodies, particularly the IMF and the World Bank.
All right,
they are at it again.
I've got to let you go. I've got to let you go at this point. I'm sorry. I've got to let you. Oh, my Miracle has been waiting, and sorry, Miracle. I tried to take your call, but you sounded like a lecturer. And that's why you wanted to be anonymous. I just, had to listen a little bit more. But I'm really, really sorry, Miracle, called in from Port Harcourt. But keep those calls coming in, 0817-923-0002 and 0817-923-0003 and 0817-923-0007. Are you a student of any of the tertiary institutions in the country or even in Rivers? I'd like to hear from you. Do you think the student loan scheme that we've been talking about since sometime last year, if it is something that you would like to see implemented, if it is something that you think is too cumbersome, I'd like to get your arguments, really. Okay, so let's go to WhatsApp. Remember, the WhatsApp number is 0809-030-6416. It is a shame that with the number of educated people, Nigeria does not have at least 10 good heads. Okay, I think this is for the former conversations. What ASUU has said is the simple truth. Tinubu's government wants to hands off funding of education, mostly at tertiary level, to private hands. The so-called grant is disguised to favor children of the elites in private universities, both in Nigeria and abroad. I don't know what he wants to do with all this money he's milking from Nigerians. Tinubu doesn't want to do anything good for the poor. As cloudy and corrupt as the palliative scheme is, so too the so-called grant scheme would be. This is the naked reality, DK. But DK, it's just for people attending government schools, either a state or a federal school. It's not for private students, and neither is it for, if you can go to a private school, that means you've got money. But I've got Gilbert from Port Harcourt. Gilbert, welcome.
Thank you.
All right, let's get your thoughts, please.
All right, I'm calling with regards to the student loan.
Okay.
Okay, so my own take is that if these students have this capacity of people, caliber of people to come and attest to him or her, then what's the essence of the loan? Because this level of people can as well take care of the bill if they can come out and sign as to be their guarantor or whatsoever. So I think the poor masses wouldn't be able to access that loan, which is the essence why that loan is being given out. Because for a child that doesn't have people, that doesn't have funds, getting this level of people, I don't think they actually made this loan for the poor masses. They actually made it for themselves or for the middle or rich class, which can afford the funding for their children. That's my own take on this.
But Gilbert,
so I think they should review the conditions attached to the loan. That's where I'm coming from.
Yeah, Gilbert, can you hear me? Can you hear me, Gilbert?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Now, have you also looked at it from the angle that in Nigeria, it's very difficult to trace people due to our data inefficiencies? We don't have enough data. We are very inefficient when it comes to data collation. So could it be that that's the reason? I mean, look at the NIN SIM linkage. It looks like it's not working, right? But yet they collected data. Maybe that's the reason why they want to make that, there's XYZ person that we can hold accountable just in case. And the person has to be a senior, officer in any of these institutions so that we can hold the person accountable.
Whichever way that is the reason why they made it so wouldn't benefit the poor. That is just the truth of the matter. Because, for instance, I once schooled. I finished 2019, so I funded my studies myself. So what I'm trying to say is that looking around me, as at when I was in school, the only way I could even raise funds was to reach out to my friends whenever I'm down financially. Not family members, nothing, not even church members. I just reach out to my few friends I know. They raise me some funds. The only thing I try to do is that I make sure I refund them back at when due. And that was the only way I was able to succeed in school then. So what I'm trying to say is that imagine me now going to look for a lawyer or going to look for a civil servant that is of level 12 in the civil service office and all of that. Who do I know to go and meet of that caliber, of that level, to come and attest to me that I guarantee this person, give this person this loan? And what are the, where will you even see the VC of your school to come and attest? You go to
his office. You go to his office.
You need this loan. The chances are too, as in it's lean, very lean for all the formats. If you look at it, very critical. It's very lean because the chances of the students reaching out to the VC first and reaching out to people that will come and attest to him, by then the deadline have already exceeded for that payment. That's my own point.
Thank you very much, Gibalt. I've got to let you go. Now, there's another angle to it. The government recently, has been tilting towards that statement that it may not have enough money. It may not. Remember the statement by Bayo Nanuga that Nigeria is a very, very, what did he say again? Very, very poor nation. Is that what he said? Very, very poor nation, I think he said so. So there is that argument. Will the government be able to fund this scheme? By the way, if you're a student, I hear the scheme will start operations 21st of this month. That's in about 7 days time. 6 days time, I beg your pardon. 21st of February 2024, the scheme will start. They're saying that they will give about 500,000 naira as loan. 500,000 naira as loan every session, I want to believe. I don't know, maybe if you take the loan once, you may not have access to it. We'll see as these things will work out, eventually. Maybe we'll get more reports on that. Because I don't like to think that they would want to give you 500,000, 200 level, give you 500,000, 300 level, and give you 500,000, 400 level. That will be you owing about 1.5 million. However, when you look at for departments like nursing, for departments like medicine, for departments like law, that loan will not take you for more than a session. For maybe departments like mass communication, maybe departments like in some schools, it may take you for your four years. So you want to also look at it from that angle. What changes do you think the government should make to, this? Okay, so I'm looking at this report now. It says, first and foremost, the modality for loan recovery will be done by the employers, which is what we are putting in place at the moment. The loan is 500,000 per year. So in 4 years of schooling, that adds up to 2 million naira. So yes, and it is interest free, which means you're not paying any more. So you see, it's going to be 4 years, 500 per year, and that means 2 million. Is this? I mean, we have about 1.8 million students applying for JAM every year. Then we have about 900, 800,000 of them, or about 500, 600, 700,000 of them passing their UTME and then their post UTME. So we have this large number of influx into the universities every year. Now, if we now put it side by side with the number of people who are faced with hard times and are, going through multidimensional poverty, we may have, about maybe 40 or 50% of those students who gain admission every year asking and applying for loans. I don't know. Is this such a good thing? Is this a bad thing? I really want to know. So I'm going to the phone lines now. 0817-923-0002 and 0817-923-0003. There is 0817-923-0007. This one says, we don't even need loans or grant, but a return to the status quo of moderate flat rate school fees. But the government is saying they don't have enough money. I don't know if you got that part. This one says the process is too cumbersome and unrealistic. Nigerian government is good in developing a policy which they find it difficult to implement. Ezekiel Isaiah with that one. And this one says students loaned by the federal government is another failure in the waiting. How will students get the loan? Their political followers, and how will they get it back? You will hear billions allocated to a minister as regards this, and it wasn't shared. I beg make we hear better talk. Tanya with that one. I've got Akere from Buri. Akere, welcome. What is on your mind? Can you hear me? Hello, are you there?
All right. So talking about this loan, I actually do not understand whether the federal government actually has a good intention.
Are you there? I guess we're having network issues there. So I would have to let you go to call back if you can. Hello, your name, your location, your contribution. Yeah, greetings to you.
My name is James.
All right, welcome.
Calling from Port Harcourt.
All right, welcome.
Yeah. Mine is it's not like a question I want to ask.
Okay.
In respect to the guarantors and the terms and conditions, you may mention that one of the guarantors is somebody that is level 12.
Yeah,
service, right?
civil service, yeah, level 12.
Right. Can you also say that the person annual income should not be above?
No. That is not for the guarantor. That will be for your parent or your guardian. So the person who is supposed to pay your fees, that person should not be earning up to 500,000 or more than 500,000 per annum. That's per year.
That is why I was a little bit confused. I have to be that someone with level 12 will not be earning up to or above 400,000 in a year. Anyway. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for calling in. Now, remember, the reason we're having this conversation is because education is very key. Education, they say, is the bedrock of society. And in Nigeria, we like education a lot. And some of us right now are working so hard so that our children can get into the university or the polytechnic or the colleges of education. And now, looking at how things are expensive right now, and I'm very much still, or I can still vividly recall the conversation you and I had when we talked about River State University and the increment in fees. Okay, I've got Dr. Henry from Ngbogba. Let's listen to him. Dr. Henry, welcome.
Yeah, good evening.
Yeah, greetings to you.
Yes, I think our government have been so unfaithful that every effort they try to make, whether it's sincere or insincere, we are a bit skeptical about that is true because of their conduct and behavior over the years. But the thing about this particular one is that I want to encourage our students. The procedure may be difficult, maybe tight, but I want to encourage our students to key into it, embrace it, because the most important thing is to go to school.
Okay.
You don't have school fees, and you stay at home and stay you can't, you don't have money to go to school, and for that, or you drop out of school. I think to grab this loan, and continue your education, complete your education is much more than being skeptical about it and then looking at the conditions. Take your time and follow up the conditions too. You meet up. After all, some students are arrested for cultism, and in split seconds they will find those who are in level 14 and 15 to build them. So they should be able to find these two and get people that can, guarantee them and then get the paperwork done and then go ahead and get this loan. For me, students should make very, good effort.
All right.
Desperate effort, to speak, to get this loan and support themselves out of school.
All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Henry. I've got an anonymous caller from Abuja. Quickly, let's get your thoughts, please.
Okay. Sorry, I'm going as anonymous. I just want to say this, and I will say it only once, after which I will hang up the call. The IMF and the World Bank and the World Economic Forum, which is also perpetuating the will own nothing and be happy situation, they are businesses. Banks are businesses, and they are making an investment. Just understand it.
Anonymous, please, can you just pause? I want to go for a quick break. Just stay on the line. When I come back, I'd like to get those thoughts of yours, please.
Nigeria Info. Right back after this. Oh yeah.